Hello everybody, welcome to the Sunday Special. Today I want to talk about health, and I want to tell a little bit of a story about a guy named Fred. You see, Fred was driving his car home from work one day when his car broke down, and he's pushing his car off to the side of the road, and Fred drops dead of a heart attack. And everybody comes up and goes, well, he's never done that before. In fact, Fred was never sick a day in his life. And what's interesting to think about is the fact that the absence of symptoms was deemed healthy, when in fact over 50% of the time, especially with heart disease, the number one sign of heart disease, the very first time that they find out about it, is a fatal heart attack. So I want to talk about health, and I think it's important to have this discussion because health is such an important topic nowadays. Everybody's talking about it. I'm here talking to you about it right now, and I think it's important when we talk about health to first define what it is we're talking about. So according to the World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and it's not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, right? Health is not merely the absence of symptoms. And what's important to understand about this is that what you believe about health is going to determine the actions that you take towards it. And the actions that you take towards your health are ultimately going to determine the outcome of health that you achieve. So it's really important to understand where your beliefs are and how you're thinking about health. And so the first point that I want to make is health is not about symptoms, right? So I want you to imagine that you have a spectrum of health. And on one side is 100% health, fully functioning. And on the other side is 100% sickness, disease, and ultimately death. And I want you to ask yourself, where do symptoms show up? And what you'll find is that symptoms show up towards the later end of the disease process. So there's a whole series of events that occurs from 100% health to symptoms to ultimately sickness, disease, and death, right? So basing your health off of merely the absence of symptoms is not only incorrect according to the definition, but it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not very effective. Consider that only a fraction of the nerves in your whole body actually transmit pain, meaning you can have a lot of dysfunction, you can have a lot of things going wrong, and you can think of countless examples of this, like cancer and tumors or heart attacks, where you can have a lot of things going wrong before symptoms start to develop. And a little side note about symptoms is there's so much focus about symptoms anyways, when really that shouldn't be the focus. The effect, the symptoms should not be the focus. The cause should be the focus, right? When you step on a cat's tail, does the tail yell at you? Does the tail meow? Of course not. The mouth does, right? So if you start focusing on the symptom, the mouth, without addressing your foot on the tail, where are you really putting your effort and your energy and your focus, and how are your results going to be affected by that? It's really important to understand. Number two, health is an infinite game, right? Those of you that have never heard of this thought, it's the concept of finite games and infinite games. It was first talked about by a guy named James Carse. I've heard it talked a lot about by Simon Sinek, and it's the idea that finite games are like athletic sporting events, right? Finite games, the purpose of the game is to win, and the rules are set, there's boundaries, the players are all known, and they don't change. Infinite games, on the other hand, right? The purpose is not to win, but the purpose is to continue playing, right? There are no boundaries, there are no set rules. The players are known and there's unknown players and they're ever changing. And the goal is to simply stay in the game. So finite games are like sporting events, chess, basketball. Infinite games are like business, life, and ultimately health. And so what you realize is that it's the process. Health is more of a process and about reaching potential, and it's not merely about achieving an outcome, right? And number three, health is the default. And this is really important because you are enough, right? The body will thrive. The body, in fact, is designed to thrive if you give it everything it needs and if you allow it to be free of interference and free of toxins, right? So understanding that you're not deficient in pain medications, you're not deficient in ibuprofen or Aleve or sleep medications, that those symptoms of pain or of sleep problems or digestive discomfort or whatever the case is, the symptoms are just simply a sign of the problem. They aren't the problem. And focusing on the symptom instead of focusing on the cause is going to be a less effective way at managing your health, and it's ultimately going to drive you in the wrong direction. One thing that's really interesting in Eastern versus Western medicine, Western medicine, one of the most common phrases is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That sounds like it's good to keep the doctor away, meaning you only go to the doctor when you're sick. You only go when you have a problem. When in Eastern medicine, it's very common to go to the doctor when you're feeling great, right? It becomes more about prevention and maintenance rather than symptom-based treatment. You're actually working of the process of health, and you're trying to improve your outcomes of health as an ongoing process rather than simply waiting for symptoms to show up and just going to the doctor when you're sick and needing treatment and needing care, right? So it's really important because the beliefs that we have are going to determine the actions that we take. And the actions that we take are then going to determine the outcomes that we seek and the outcomes that we achieve. And so when you're talking about health, it's really important to understand what we're talking about, to understand that health is not about symptoms. Health is an infinite game, and it's all about the process of health, and health is the default, right? Your body is designed to be healthy. When you cut your finger, you don't have to look at it and concentrate on the healing. The finger does the healing on its own. There's an intelligent design, right? When you eat your food, you don't have to think about the digesting process. Your body just simply does it, right? Health, vitality, and thriving is the default. And so understanding how you're thinking about your health is really important. And I encourage you to start understanding where your beliefs are, because it can make a big difference in your overall health. So if you enjoyed this content, thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the videos. And until next week, thank you so much for joining. This has been another episode of Dr. K's Sunday Special.